the draft right now, as we are going to see the faces as well of both of the country's representatives. Argentina on the blue side in the first game's draft, Indonesia on the red, and this hero, Joy, I just want to get this over with instantly. We're not going to see it anymore. The Cambodia-Malaysia match, that's the only time we'll ever see Joy in this tournament.
I think that has to be the case, man. Any team that watched that game needs to understand how absurd this hero is at the current point in time. And I think for now, it just means that any team playing for the first pick will have a bit of an advantage because the second pick will always have to ban out that Joy.
The Joy, I can't believe it, right? We were amazed, actually, at how much the Joy could do. She could tank, she could sustain, she could deal damage, and she is unkillable because she's so mobile. That, I think, is the most important one to highlight here. The most important thing to highlight when you're talking about Joy, because it doesn't really matter how tanky you are. If you're able to dodge everything with those dashes that reset, and if you're able to play with the rhythm properly, that passive, it's almost like it's 100% win guaranteed.
I mean, you also have a lot of crowd control immunity, and if you take a vengeance like Deja did in the first match, that just allows you to take even more damage. And with the nature of the hero, we can see that the sustain is completely absurd. I mean, I was yapping all about it after the first match. Now let's get straight with it. 1-1 and Yves ban away. Indonesia wanting to ensure that there won't be any kite back shenanigans from Argentina. And Argentina wanting to make sure that they don't get slowed down, because that is what Indonesia needs to get their hands onto the Argentinian members.
Argentina so far in their match up against Slovenia, we've only seen them play early game compositions, right? We haven't seen them get taken to that later stage, like you mentioned. So maybe this might be it for Indonesia. They might actually want to prolong the game. Played a bit passively here up against Argentina, who is definitely a threat now for everyone. They are, I believe, the dark horses here. None of the teams in the upper brackets and even in the lower brackets currently can be overlooked, as we are going to see the final ban from Team Indonesia. 1-1, Joy, but Leomord, Martis, both still up for grabs. And I think it should be amongst those two, maybe even the Valentina if they want to just throw it out there. But it's actually going to be the Diggy here that's banned out by Indonesia.
The Kaja is still available for both teams to pick up as well. It'll all hinge on the last ban from Argentina and the first pick, because it seems like there's a lot of very good heroes available, and I think that in a way gives Indonesia a bit of an advantage. So now, what they ban will for sure decide what they pick up as well. Are they going to go for that obnoxious early game to enable the rotations and the gameplay, or are they going to go for something a bit more aggressive, and it's going to be an Atlas first pick? Whoa.
It does seem like Argentina have missed their third ban. I'm looking at it right now. Only 2 bans from Team Argentina, so we'll get this sorted out. I don't know if this is a mistake, but we will give you information right as we get it. Diggy was the final ban for Team Indonesia right now, as we are going to see the second pick come off, or the first pick from Indonesia on that red side. With the Atlas pick, Indonesia can just safely pick up the Akai. We know that the Akai has just been a solid counter towards these Atlas compositions. It can also be flexed over to the XP lane in the jungle. But another hero that's open, a signature pick for Taz, the Fanny, and Dreams, who was able to really pop off on the Kaja. He gets a comfort pick as well.
2 comfort picks for the Indonesian side. And we have to talk about Taz on that Fanny.
Man.
This man is an absolute menace. Mechanical skills for days on this Fanny pick. And we've seen a lot of teams respect Bennett against Indonesia. So we'll see if this will come to haunt Argentina later on. They go for that Fredrin. Solid front line, solid crowd control, and quite the dominant, sustainable lane in the off lane. So already a difference in priorities for both these teams. But you can see that the Roamer pick is so important. It sets the tone for the early game, and it's the main tool you rely on when you need to get information, when you need to catch people off guard. And as we talk about utility, Faramis pops up.
Man, this is a team fight composition that we have seen yesterday as well from Argentina. We saw that when Erwin gets his hands on the Atlas, those flashy plays do come through. With the addition of the Faramis to provide utility with that Cult Altar and a bit more sustainability to the team, it's pretty solid. The thing is, though, you got to take a look at Indonesia's composition here with the Fanny that kind of nullifies that clumped-up style of play that Argentina are looking to go for. Indonesia can definitely now look for more pick-off heroes, more stronger laners in general to find the winning lane and to maybe snowball from the get-go. We mentioned late game. Maybe Indonesia wants to go for that, but so far in their draft, it feels completely early game. We want to get it rolling from the start. And with the Beatrix pick here, that's another hero with a lot of AoE damage that can really nullify this Cult Altar.
Aside from just the AoE damage, you have to talk about the wave clear. Right now, Kaja, Fanny, Beatrix, that's a lot of wave clear for Argentina to contend with. And we talked about it again and again, as always. But when you want to have good macro game, you need to have good wave clear to establish your lane dominance, your lane pressure. Otherwise, you are stuck watching for those minion waves, and you cannot rotate as efficiently. For Argentina, Faramits and Fredrin, they're okay, but I don't think so far their composition can even compare to the amount of wave clear that Indonesia has. And I think that is going to be completely abused unless Argentina picks something up for themselves.
Well, we'll have to see how it plays out, Arashi, as we are going to see the Hayabusa get banned out for Indonesia here. They actually opted to go for that, knowing that yesterday Jotun was able to have such an amazing performance, juking Team Slovenia out with that Hayabusa on that quad shadow. But now it's a respect ban towards Sycots, who is also a menace on that Yuzong. Good respect bans coming in from Argentina and Indonesia in the second phase, and you can kind of expect Indonesia now to start narrowing down the jungle. Just keep going down, or maybe just try to take away the heroes that can lock the Fanny down. Because right now, what Argentina are lacking is that single target lockdown that can really stop the Fanny.
And if you look at the options available, not really much. I mean, the Franco could be an option, but Argentina have way too many heroes that would actually make it to the roamer position. And now Brody has also been banned by Indonesia. That's some good crowd control. Usually another option we see is the Moskov, I was about to say, with a knockback, with the stun as well, and the mobility. All solid choices unless Indonesia can come up with something to deter that completely, although Argentina will ban away that Benedetta as well.
We haven't seen a whole lot of the Paquito here, but it is Sycots' comfort hero back when he was in the MDL. In the MPL, it was banned from him completely. But here he does have a chance to actually pick that up. Go for the Paquito in the XP lane. And for the mid lane, Hijume usually likes to go for just the Lilias, the Yves, that right now has been banned out. So the option for Hijume is most probably the Lilia, the Farsa.
Lilia makes sense, a bit more survivability, a lot of AoE damage in the big fights, and just as we say that, it does get locked in. And now for Argentina, what could it be, man? They need some DPS for sure. And this is the problem. When you're in the current meta, anything can be played in the jungle almost. It can be a utility tank, it can be marksman-ish, it can be assassin-orientated. And considering that they're against Fanny, I think a fighter makes sense. But then they'll be very, very locked into a front-to-back situation. And Indonesia, the flanks we saw from Sycots have been very, very dangerous. So they go for the Karina, can be used as a tank as well, and they have that Melissa to deter all these dive potential.
There you go. That's the answer we were waiting for, right? Up against a team like Indonesia with the Fanny, with someone that can just dive into that back line, you need someone to be able to cover. And looking at Team Argentina's composition before they picked the Melissa, wait a minute. Brands is hovering over the Roger currently. Grr, yeah, absolutely. But we'll see. Arashi.
No way.
Is this going to be, are they trying to pull off the double retribution strat?
I'll have to say that so many teams have been doing this to the casters. Can you please stop? This is not okay, man. You're giving us a lot of false hope here. And I don't think it's gonna be that Roger. Unfortunately, they are hovering on the Lapu Lapu. Yet another dive hero, a good engage, and crowd control. More than anything, crowd control has been so critical in ensuring that your team gets that slight edge, especially when both teams are positioning, are maneuvering so well in that mid to late game.
Zace, he just loves it, man. He loves playing with the casters there, with hover over the Roger.
Zace.
Come on, Zace. Don't give us hope. Pick it up, man. Come on, man. Maybe next time we'll see it.
Do it.
Maybe they're saving it for later, but here, up against Argentina with Karina picked up by Jotun and Civ. I do want to finish what I started earlier, that statement. With the Melissa's go away, that provides easy cover, and she can be quite independent in that gold lane, where usually, again, Team Argentina can play and look towards that XP lane to get that winning lane.
Exactly. I think we need to figure out, well, both teams need to figure out which lane are they attempting to actually get ahead. Because if it's the gold lane, cool. You have a solid mid game and you have solid advantage in the late game. But if you leave that EXP lane untouched, the macro game, the wave gameplay, the 1 and 4 split push strategy can be utilized to its utmost potential. And with Psychots, for example, in the XP lane, going up against Papdog as well, that is something that you do not want happening.
Welcome to the land of Dawn, ladies and gentlemen. Team Indonesia here with Taz starting on the purple buff and Jotun on that Karina on the orange buff. Let's see here, Taz. One question I do have currently is what emblem is he going to go for? He opts to go for the high and dry. And now you can already see that it's going to be the mystery shop as well from Karina, as Erwin is going to get bursted down by the damage from the Fanny early on. And man,
that is a lot of damage. That is what the high and dry is going to bring to the table. Taz is going to be very aggressively moving around, going for those 1v1s. And unless Argentina has solid control in the lanes, then they can actually, you know, that's how they need to play to get the opportunities to shut down, to collapse onto Taz, who is going over aggressive.
Here though, Jotun is going to have a bit of a rougher time in his jungle as Taz was able to pick up that kill. It is going to be a 1-kill lead early on so far, but that's something that can really get the snowball going for Team Indonesia right now as Dreams just gets out that perfect match. Jotun still is able to get level 4 a bit faster than Taz though, even after suffering that invade early on.
As we watch that there's no real counter to the engage coming in from Erwin with the Flicker Fatal Links combo. No Purifies, for example, but we'll have to see. Does Indonesia have a strategy in mind, a counter? Maybe through maneuvering to positioning. We have to see later in the mid game, but for now, the Atlas cannot be as aggressive when it comes to these skirmishes. So we'll have to wait until about level 4. And now with the first turtle spawning, you can see action building up near that top side.
Both teams are playing it a bit passive here early on, but wait a minute, a solo kill in the gold lane by Brands, the Indonesian king of marksmen there, as he is able to actually win out up against the damage. Taz, out of nowhere with Dreams, finds the Divine Judgment. Now Taz just going mad with the cables, and that's going to be Hijume who picks up a double kill. Papa Dog caught in his own jungle. Psychots just does some damage, puts him back, and forces him to recall. 2 minutes in, and it's Indonesia who has a pretty solid lead.
Just like that, 2 kills on the table. That is how fast. That is the X factor we talk about whenever Indonesia is being mentioned. Out of nowhere, these plays will just keep happening, so Argentina need to be on their toes. The composition of Indonesia is all about that pickoff, so they cannot leave their member alone. I think we saw Meteoro use the Cult Altar, but it was just a bit too late, unfortunately, and that cannot happen again, because that is one of the core ways they have to counter Indonesia right now.
3 minutes in, that's a turtle secured for free by Indonesia. Psychots in that XP lane as well, getting a pretty substantial lead with Brands doing the same. So far, all 3 lanes are controlled by Indonesia. And this is a good read as well. Brands knows something is up, knows that Erwin has been missing on the map for quite a long time, so he plays it safe. Meanwhile, Indonesia, Dreams and Hijume, they don't decide to rotate. They decide to just keep that pressure in the mid lane to, again, relieve some of that pressure from the other lanes.
I'm just waiting for the time where Taz will start exploding out of nowhere, because right now, it's a ticking time bomb, man. He is farming up, but once he feels that he has the necessary items, he's about to go absolutely wild. And as you say that,
oh my goodness, Taz does so much damage. Hijume pops that black shoes to run away from Erwin's possible engage here. As Psychots tries to make his way into that mid lane, just again opening up the map for the rest of his teammates. And that damage is absolutely absurd, man. Meteoro just disappeared. They're trying to do it onto Erwin right now with the Divine Judgment, but Erwin pops that perfect match. Very well timed to get out of the Divine Judgment.
Taz on the Fanny right now, an absolute menace. And I don't think anyone from Argentina can deal with him 1v1. They need to find a way, a team fight, force him into these situations where the high and dry won't really have a lot of impact. He won't be able to actually get those solo kills, but it's easier said than done. As we say that,
oh man, he used
whoa,
the Shadow
what?
Stampede. The Cold Altar HP is gone just like that, but Minioro has the flicker. You can see the kill pressure already from Taz on the Fanny. That's why it's a signature pick, and that's why usually we see it banned out.
The Called Altar, man, we talked about how it's only very situationally good against teams with limited amounts of damage, maybe big burst damage, so that the second life can be preserved for, for your team to actually have more impact. But when the Called Altar HP gets taken out like that, it's too dangerous.
Erwin with a perfect match again has to use it defensively. A very different Atlas gameplay for Erwin here today, as Meteoro is going to be chunked low, goes in for Shadow Stampede, Dreams gets targeted down, but it's only the Roamer. A shutdown as Jotun puts Argentina on the board, but it's Taz who picks up a trade up top. Taz now going on to Papa Dog with a cutthroat as well. The flicker ready to save Papa Dog, but it's still a solid trade, 1-for-1 right now.
It's unfortunate Hijumi was the one who actually fell in the engagement. He is the one with 3 kills right there. So it's not ideal. I think he chased a bit too much. But of course, we see again the damage potential coming in from Indonesia. A lot of poke damage. And if you get too low, Taz does not waste any time at all securing that kill, taking you out of the Land of Dawn.
Now it just goes to the discipline game, right? They already have a pretty good lead, 3,000 gold. That's going to be building again. Taz looking for that play, jumps in just to bait out that Cult Altar, and now it's gone. Meteoro has nowhere to go.
Bro.
A brilliant decision by Taz as well. He didn't get turret aggro, so he just played around the minions, forced Meteoro to pop that Cult Altar. It's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. And it's just too fast. If you wait for the right moment, you might get taken out before using it, but the Fatal Links is being used, Mirko.
Only to Dreams right now, who is the Roamer, who can soak in a whole lot of damage, and now it comes down to Taz, who's able to rotate down below. Jotun finds a pick, Brands gets taken down. That's going to be a 2v1 situation. A 2-for-1 trade as well, but it is going to be equalized in that mid lane. Psychots, ooh, flickers forward, gets the double kill, and makes it a 3-for-2.
That axe accuracy coming in from Psychots. A 3-for-2, not ideal, but I guess at this point, Argentina need to get themselves on the board right here. If they play a bit too safe, they're just waiting for the members of Indonesia to set up for the next play. And as we can see, it can come just like that. Divine Judgments, bravest fighters, and of course, Taz just slice and dice him all the way through in the back line.
The damage, look at that. He went for 2 items early on. It's going to be the Heptaseas and also the Melphic Roar. So he knows that Argentina are going to start to pile up on that physical defense. Going for just physical penetration as early as 7 minutes in the game will basically mean he'll deal true damage.
Not to mention, he is up against essentially 3 heroes that can go tank, so it's a very smart adjustment decision in the item builds. And now with that lead, Indonesia is just pressuring away the members of Argentina from this turtle. They're still able to secure the purple buff, but right now, full control for Indonesia, unless Argentina does something unexpected. Erwin, with that flicker, we've seen him make the plays happen, but can he replicate the same success?
2 ultimates burnt out by Taz.
What?
Go away. Cult Altar, 2 very crucial ultimates when it comes down to the team fight. And just like that, the engage potential that Argentina had, the pick potential with Erwin, it disappears because of the counter engage that Indonesia can constantly threaten with. Dreams jumps in, finds the Divine Judgment onto Meteoro, knowing he does not have that Cult Altar. And Brands picks him up like it's nothing. Dreams now opening up the map, going to be targeted down. Dreams going to be taken down by Argentina. A 1-for-1, but it is the mid laner taken down for the Roamer.
Look at the mid lane though, the wave management coming in from the Indonesians. We've talked about this since the drafting phase, and Argentina is absolutely feeling it. Even when they get a kill, it doesn't look like they're getting any control, and look at the aggression.
Papa Dog dove under the tier 1. Taz styling, and Hijime picks up the kill. Papa Dog 0-1 currently. Again, he tried his best early on. He went even in lane against Psychots, but because Taz has had such a good time around the map, just getting kills and getting the snowball rolling, he can start to melt these tanks down. Psychots up top waiting in the bush, jumps in with the Bravest Spider, forces the go away before the fight even starts. Erwin is forced to use the perfect match now as Psychots gets caught, but he baits enough of the resources out. One frontliner for another. Erwin for Psychots as Indonesia looks for the re-engage. And Taz is a monster. Jumps in like it's nothing, jumps out like it's nothing.
How is he able to maneuver like in curves on a Fanny? Usually we see linear movements with the cables, but this man, he is drifting right now.
It does feel like he's drifting, you know, he's playing those cables in a way where it looks like he is actually going around the walls. But this is the signature thing. This is the reason we usually never see it get left open.
And this man was a mid laner, so now in the jungle position, this man is just flexing all this mechanical skills, the killer instinct as well. And when he is that accurate with the cables, how can you like play as a backliner for Argentina, but Papadog is the one being targeted?
Melted down instantly here by Psychots and Brands. Erwin tried his best to pop that conceal and the perfect match to reach towards his teammate, but Papadog just gets bursted down too fast because, again, of the items. Even Brands with the Hunter Strike in the Melfic Roar, with the POD completed so early on. Man, he can actually just burst that whole team. Yeah, right as I say it, on cue, Brands pops that Renner, gets Meteoro to a quarter of his HP, swaps to the Bennett and clears out the wave easily with the BOD completed. Now, I need to ask you a question, Arashi. Argentina, how do they come back in the game, if it's even still possible?
They need to get a shot down somehow, some way, man. I mean, they have some tools to get a catch, but they need to make the proactive movement. They can't wait for Indonesia to go in like this.
Well, the Cold Ultra's there. Erwin gets baited in by Taj with the cables. Meteoro falls as well as that Psychots who finds the double. Brands completing the Haas clause will mean that he will no longer need to recall. He can just hit a few minions, go for a few creeps in the jungle, and get back to full HP. Jotun trying his best to look for a play. Toss and Brands with that combo. The snipe from the purple buff and Taz with the cables as Psychos jumps in once again onto the Bravest Spider. But it is going to be the go-away pop as well by Argentina. Meteoro backing off. Call Ultra already used. 11 minutes in and 2 base turrets have fallen.
See the discipline coming in from the Indonesians, having so much momentum and yet so patient. Snipe does not connect from Brands, but like I said, now with the Cold Altar, when do you pop it? Is it when Taz comes flying in? Is it when Brands is charging up the Snipe because he can one-shot you as well? It's such a tough situation, especially when all the responsibility is on you to keep your teams alive. Meteoro with a Cold Altar, and we can see that Erwin, he is definitely feeling the pressure. He needs to make a play, but if he tries too hard, if he forces it, this is what will happen. Indonesia can absolutely take over.
12 minutes in. This is, so far today, we have seen longer games than yesterday, right? I think the longest game we saw yesterday was 11 minutes, and today we saw a game go all the way. Dreams, though, looking for the pick, finds it like it's nothing, but it's going to be the Cold Ultra, which is placed down. Taz looking for the plays, waiting for the Cold Ultra HP to be shrink down, to be melted down as he goes in for a re-engage. Getting the base turret, getting back as well, baiting a whole lot of resources for Brands to free hit on that back line. 2 members falling for Argentina. Meteoro and Civ, the 2 damage dealers, are still up, but the Snipes connects onto Civ, and that will mean Civ will have to recall. Taz finally rejoining his team, jumps in onto Jotun, goes in for the cut though, finds Meteoro, and he's looking for a double kill, looking for a triple kill onto Civ now. He does get it in the end, a triple kill for Taz up against Argentina in a dominant game 1.
Dominant for sure. This is why the Fanny has been so prioritized. It is disgusting. What is that damage, my guy? It comes in, it's just so much damage so fast. Because if there's some time for Argentina to try and react to it, to try and counter it, maybe there'll be some kind of fighting chance. But within a split second, even with the Cold Altar, it's just instantly taken out.
It's so tough to play around that, and
lethal.
We did talk a little bit about that, right? We did mention that this Cold Altar and the composition that Argentina went for is a composition that really struggles up against a mobile assassin like the Fanny. If you want to look for that Fatal Links, you're not going to be able to find it at will up against a Fanny. You need to firstly chain him down, lock him down, or force him to make a mistake, using all of his energy before you actually go for it. No one was able to lock down the Fanny. That was the main concern from us casters as well when we dissected Argentina's draft, and that's what came back to haunt Argentina in the game. No lockdown whatsoever means that the Fanny can free hit.
All the way in the early game, man, even the tankiest of members from the side of Argentina gets melted down, and they are constantly guessing. Is Taz going to come from above, from below, from the sides, all over the place? And to make things worse, even when they are being careful about the Fanny engage, you can see that Psychots with the signature just flanking around. It's just so difficult. Indonesia essentially have so many different tools to bait out this utility. Even if they don't want to get close, they can just use brands and go for those snipes to try and soften up the targets. And then from there, Taz can go in, Dreams can go in with the Divine Judgment, Psychots can dive in as well. So Argentina, they have just so many problems that they can't have any solutions to. And slowly but surely, Indonesia just abused the mobility, the speed, the wave clear as well. We talked about this. Look at the waves, man. Indonesia always have control, and when Argentina shows up on the map, Indonesia spent no time at all just punishing the fact that they even dare show themselves in the Land of Dawn.
Again, right? The cult altar,
curves.
the curves as well from Taz there. The moment he tries or the moment he pulls the trigger is always when that cult altar has been popped up. This is the moment where, again, Taz went in, Erwin looked for an engage, but Taz was just too slick with the movement, enabling his team to look for that re-engage right as the Fatal Links gets popped in. And this was that final moment where Taz, again, waited for the go away, waited for the cult altar, jumps back in right on cue, and he jumps back out, baiting Papa Dog to walk back up so that he can get gunned down by Brands. In the late stage as well, Civ, he pops the Wind of Nature, and once he does that, he will have no more resources to actually defend himself. Obviously, your match MVP will go to the hands of this man right here, Taz. The mid laner, the jungler. At one point, he actually was the goal laner as well for EVOs.
You're right.
This man has been playing all the roles, and you can see that the experience has helped him to actually look for these ganks, to look for these openings around the map.
He just knows how to read the situation. He knows when is the most optimal time to go in and go out, because there's so many times where it seems like he predicts the counterplay coming and he mind games them instead. And then once you're in that situation, now you're concerned. Is he here, is Taz going to go in all in, or is he just baiting out? And when you're hesitating, you get taken out by everything, the follow-up, the dive coming in from Indonesia. And of course, player spotlight here is going to be Hijume from Indonesia as well. He is one of the main wave clear tools in that early game. He was also a lot of slows, a lot of DPS whenever the team just wants to go for those objectives. It all began with the laning phase, right? The game always starts there. The Fanny will be placed.
Now I do have a question, right, for Argentina. Do they want to actually swap their sides here and opt to go for the red side, or do they want to stick to the blue side and this time just look to go for that ban earlier, right? Find that ban. It does seem like they are going to swap sides, though. Argentina now on the red side, prioritizing, again, the two picks. But you can see the Kaja ban already for Argentina. And for Indonesia, it's Diggy again.
So they switch sides, so they're forced to ban out Dead Joy if things go that way. So we'll have to see.
That's one ban slot gone.
If they trade Fanny for the Joy, it's not that much better. So I'm wondering what the plan is. We'll have to see. Indonesia bans away the Faramis, very curiously enough. I didn't think that personally the Faramis was that big of an issue, but perhaps Indonesia has a different plan in mind. The Joy, as predicted, is banned away. So now it seems like Argentina is going to be forced to ban this Fanny unless they are willing to fight Indonesia on their own terms.
The Joy ban comes through, Arashi. They are not looking to trade it off. But like you mentioned, with the Joy ban now, with Argentina opting to go for the red side, it does give them a lot more heroes to actually look for to ban. Leomord, Martis, again, two heroes that so far we haven't seen this series, but can still definitely come up. Fanny, Valentina, Wanwan. There's so many bans that you can prioritize, that you can go for here. At this point, Argentina and Indonesia, it does feel like both of them just want to let everything go. Let's trade, We'll ban the Valentina, but we'll still leave all those heroes open, and it's now up to Argentina to decide whether they want to trade with Fanny, Wanwan. I think with the Fanny, like you mentioned, don't try to counter it, right? The Fanny's been banned every single game so far, even against other teams.
Not just
against
Indonesia.
us.
It is a very, very strong hero. Mobility, dueling prowess, burst damage, speed. Fanny has so many attributes in her favor. Speed. And for Indonesia, they have that Valentina banned out, and I've been very surprised with how willing teams are to let go of that Valentina. It's been working out for a lot of teams, but Indonesia will have none of it. And with that Fanny ban, that means we're gonna see the Wan.
I'm a happy man. My hero finally coming up in IESF, because I was thinking I'm cursed, because every time you cast,
this is the second 1-1.
Exactly. When you and Momo-chan cast it and the 1-1 was picked up, I was like, dang, I wanted to be the one who casted 1-1. Finally, I get a chance to. 1-1 picked up, first picked by Indonesia, but 1-1 is a hero that now has counterplay. You can actually counter it with a lot of movement, a lot of mobility. Argentina pick up a hero with mobility. They can help other members as well with the utility. Mathilda pick up, but they can also just go for something. I think for the Irithel, it's a bit too early. They already see that.
Ooh!
There you go. Range as well becomes an answer.
And utility?
Slows, the utilities coming in, and obviously the damage has just been adjusted.
Well, I'm a happy man. You already know I love myself some Yves.
So you're Team Argentina and I'm Team Indonesia based on our heroes.
Oh, hang on. Is this how it's going to be? I'll have to see for the draft. So far, I think Yves has a lot of potential, and combined with a movement, as you mentioned, Mirko, with the guiding winds, it allows Argentina to be very fluid with their approach to big team fights. But of course, Indonesia has something to say about that as well. If they get crowd control of their own, some dive, for example, I think they can still throw a wrench in the plans of Argentina. It will be a Lolita and a Beatrix? Oh, but sorry, a Benedetta. Both B, my bad.
Both B, both BE actually, right?
Ooh.
And here, it is also the Lolita pickup, like you mentioned, Arashi. Again, Lolita is a hero that can actually act as a counter as well towards the 1-1. Nullifying the crossbow attack, even the first ability, so that it does not hit that weakness point on the back. But Argentina now can just go for something like the Irithel, a hero that's super solid with the Electro Flash up against the 1-1 with the sprint as well, can usually shut the 1-1 down. But Argentina decide to opt for Judson's comfort pick. This is a hero we saw he was able to pop off on yesterday up against Slovenia, and they're trying to find that same success.
He will be trying to use the Hayabusa against a 1-1 though. A very slippery hero, a lot of mobility. Now we're already into the second banning phase. What will they ban away? Because for Argentina, it seems like speed is their go-to method of operation here. Indonesia has a lot more combos in the bag. They can go for the Electro Final Blow, Petrify combo, followed up by a Numinant Blast, or vice versa. So, I'm not quite sure. I think Indonesia will be trying to stop those big movements, and Argentina will be trying to deny any kind of disengage, and the Akai has been denied away from the hands of Indonesia.
Let's see, with the bans, Akai becomes the option for Argentina right now. And that's the Irithel, like we mentioned, a solid counter to the 1-1. I do feel like it might be a bit of a mistake from Argentina not to pick that Irithel earlier, because again, with that Irithel, it's almost a guaranteed winning lane in a 1v1. 1-1 is, oh man, if you bring Electro Flash and your sprint, you just can't lose. I've never been able to actually win out against an Irithel alone, right? You need help, and that's the thing. If Argentina picked it up, they could have actually created more pressure or opened up more for the other lanes.
And they can force Indonesia to try and do things differently as well. As you mentioned, being able to force your opponents to play the way you want them to is a big advantage. It allows you to predict, to counter, to plan, especially towards that mid-game. So Argentina will not have that advantage, and they will ban away the Gushin as well. I wonder what Taz is going to come up with right here. No Gushin, no Fanny. If he comes out with a crazy assassin, he's going to go head-to-head against Jotun on that Hayabusa.
3 respect bans over to Taz right now. And Indonesia, honestly, at this point, might just go for another gold lane ban, right? They already have the Irithel ban. We saw Civ actually play a whole lot of heroes from today and even from yesterday against Slovenia. He went for the Bruno. We saw him on the Beatrix as well. And just now, again, he was on the Melissa. So he's played 3 different heroes in 3 different games. Indonesia might want to nullify that, might want to go for it right now with the Beatrix ban. There you go. That's exactly what they go for. Argentina, oh!
Whoa!
Shadow picking the Natan, which is a very interesting move. Natan is a hero we haven't seen in a long time in the gold lane, especially up against a Wanwan that can really bully you, up against a Lolita that can soak in everything you've got, even with that entropy. Well, it becomes a pick that is risky.
It's a bit of a mixed bag with Natan. A lot of mixed damage, right, with how he operates. And oh, he goes for the shadow picks. We keep saying that this is not okay.
Haha.
It's moving around though. But let's go, Argentina. Make up your mind. We have to like comment on this.
No. Keep on juking. Keep on juking Arashi, just like Messi.
Let's just wait.
But here we go. I'm honestly just wishing for Bruno here, but he does go for the Clint. If it's not the Irithel, another hero that does extremely well in lane up against the Wanwan, it's that Clint, right? With the superior range and obviously the CC as well. Technically, the root that he has in his arsenal, it's just so good to go up against the Wanwan early on. But as we all know, Clint is very easy to pick off, and Indonesia are trying to punish that, hovering over that Selena to put some more kill pressure down. Remember, in 1v1, Clint wins, but it's never 1v1 in the gold lane anymore.
Exactly, and now with a Lolita, it's a very oppressive hero in the early game because you're actually tanky, but you have a deceptive amount of damage. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a lot, but it is a lot. And yikes, it's gonna be the Youth Song and the Lilia. So is this a jungle Benedetta?
It is a jungle, unless they pull off a jungle Youth Song. We saw it once before, not by Taz.
Phoveus is the attempt to counter from Argentina. But as we've mentioned before, I think, Phoveus isn't a hard counter for a 1-1. It can be a problem, especially if Phoveus is doing well. But otherwise, a 1-1 can absolutely outplay around that demonic force.
Both heroes that Argentina are trying to counter with the Phoveus, 1-1 and Benedetta, have counterplay to the Phoveus, right? The Benedetta can just time the dashes with the Demonic Force, and same for the 1-1. It's the same case. 1-1 can just dash out of that Demonic Force range when he pops it, right? You do get another proc, but if you're brought back to the base, it will not matter in the end. And that's the thing we've mentioned many times before. But Arashi, there is a catch. If Phoveus wins in the early stage, gets to a point where he actually does so much damage, before Wanwan gets the attack speed to be able to actually get herself outside of the Demonic Force range, Phoveus becomes an insane counter towards Wanwan. It's almost unplayable as a Wanwan. And I think right now, as we enter the Land of Dawn, we might see an interesting battle spell come out from Phoveus. I was expecting a Vengeance. Because usually, you need to go for that Vengeance if you are up against a 1-1 on the Phoveus in a losing lane like this. But it is not the Benedetta that he's up against, right? It is the Yu Zhong.
Exactly. Well, Yu Zhong is also a very oppressive hero in the laning phase. So we'll have to see that can Papadoc actually get an advantage? And if he does have an advantage, right? It's still up to the rest of the team to enable, to try and catch out the players before the Phoveus in the hands of Papadoc can actually make those crazy plays. So far though, it is a slow laning phase, and it will all depend on, I think, the jungler. So far we've seen that both these teams like taking it easy all the way to minute number 4, but in this game, it's a bit more scrapping going on.
Let's see, right now, Indonesia early on, already Wanwan actually winning out in the lane up against Clint right now, and Brad is actually able to get out. Wait! In the XP lane, it's a solo, it's a gank.
It's a gank
there, 2v1, Erwin taken very low. That's the Inspire popped in. Brands looking for that kill onto Erwin. Will not be able to find it, but it's a lot of damage, and that pressure has been alleviated off the other members. Dreams gets caught. That's going to be the shadow kill to pick up another 1-for-1. This time, Argentina, with their comfort picks, are doing better.
Argentina strikes back in the early game. Again, you can't take this team lightly. They are a serious contender in the tournament right now. Indonesia, they need to be a bit more careful, because if they let Yutun start snowballing, that can't be good for them as well. These squishier laners are going to be quite vulnerable, but I guess Brands will be the one that will be feeling the bulk of that aggression.
Indonesia, though, already first onto the neutral objective now. Picks it up. No contest from Argentina. as Jotun doesn't have that purple buff. Without the purple buff, Hayabusa is going to find it very difficult to contest or even to gank. So for Argentina, it does feel like their win condition is solely on getting the picks early on. They can't really go for the neutral objective control. Dreams there with a cheeky invade, looking for that steal. But Taz on this Demon Slayer Benedetta. I wonder if he's going to go damage or tank.
I think damage must be the way to go. He has that Demon Slayer emblem, so it's a interesting hero. Able to be built quite a few different ways. Hybrid, tank, full damage. But right now, we keep talking about the lane management in game number 1 and game number 2 here. I think it's no different. Indonesia has so many wave clear tools to actually work around with. Psychots, Taz, as well as Hijime can all do that, but look at that aggression coming in, and they're not done yet.
Jotun able to maneuver himself out of that position, but now he's going to get caught in the stun. Doesn't have the Shadow Kill to play with here to guide him as well, but a Luminal Blast forces Erwin to pop that Circling Eagle, leaving Jotun behind for Indonesia to take. Erwin trying to dish out damage back, but again, it's Indonesia that it really feels like Indonesia has Argentina's number in the rotation game.
You can see how they can just have such a good read on Argentina, because Dreams, he charged the Numenon Blast preemptively towards the top side, so they are a few steps ahead in these very messy skirmish engagements. And I think Taz is waiting. He's trying to try and steal that purple buff. Does he have backup though? That's the main question.
He's all alone here. He's still looking for that retribution battle, but decides to back off. Using Eye for an Eye to get out of the Circling Eagle. Meanwhile, in the XP lane, Hijime and Psychots finds a kill. That's the second kill over to Papa Dog, who's not having a blast on this Phobius in that XP lane, Arashi. We mentioned it, up against the Yuzong. It's going to be really difficult to lane, especially with the ganks that's constantly just being placed by Indonesia.
Not only are they having a Phobius fall behind, they're having Psychots on the Yuzong, just absolutely wrecking it in that EXP lane. That can't be good as the Indonesians are pushing the aggression, and look at that.
Real world manipulation popped in. Jotun looking for an opening as Hijime jumps back to the black shoes, but it's going to be caught by Jotun, who was very patiently waiting. They're going to blast onto Civ and on towards Erwin as that's the crossbow attack opened up. Erwin taken low, still able to survive, but with Civ down, this means that not only is Indonesia winning in the XP lane, this Wanwan on the hands of Brands as well is ahead, which is not a good sign.
Absolute disaster as far as the laning phase is concerned. And look at the babysit coming in. But on the other side of the map, that is Psychots just making a very aggressive play. It almost pays out in a kill. Unfortunately, not just yet. They're just pushing the tempo again and again. And Argentina, which lane are they supposed to make plays in? Because at every moment, they're getting out-rotated. And Indonesia is just in the bush, just waiting for them to walk in unsuspectingly.
It's absolutely insane right now. 5-2. Mataz jumps in all alone there. Looking for the purple buff, finds it and gets out. No punishment. It's actually going to be Indonesia who looked for the collapse under the tier 2. Real world inflation popped in, but Psychos jumps to the Furious Dive. Now, in the midst of it all, Erwin to be taken low, but Dreams is still alive with the help of Taz, who jumps in with the final blow. Looking for another kill right now as he jumps out, and he buys enough time for Brands to pick up that top side tier 1. They didn't lose a single member in that dive.
If you thought Argentina completely out-macroed Slovenia yesterday, this is a bit of a repeat because Indonesia is absolutely leagues ahead from Argentina. Unfortunately, Dreams was not taken out, and due to him being so low, it baits the rest of the members of Argentina, and Indonesia were able to punish that. And while all that is happening, the fight began without Brands, and doing that, Brands just didn't stay still. Goes for objectives, goes for more farm. And we talked about the 1-1 having a good lane. Brands is having an amazing lane, and in the late game, that cannot be good for the side of Argentina.
6th minute, 4-man dive, 4v5, Arashi. That's what made it super impressive. It wasn't a 5v5, it was a 4v5, and they still got out with the better trade. They still were able to take that purple buff unpunished. They were the ones actually punishing Argentina for stepping into their own jungle.
They are treading the line so carefully. I mean, at any moment, any small misplay can lead to disaster in these very risky plays, but Indonesia is making it happen that just shows again their skill and their class. And right now they are in the sides, in the wings, waiting for an opportunity. Side cuts always being so crafty in the positioning game. But look at that.
Jotun has the quad shadow, gets out, but it's going to be chunked by Hijume, who follows him under the turret with the black shoes, gets out. Real world inflation popped in, but that's going to be Tatu, who targets him down with the final blow. Forcing the flicker out, Dreams taken down in the back lines by Papa Dog as he jumps into the demonic force. Hijume falls as well. Indonesia, too over aggressive, finally punished here by Argentina, but Brands is looking for the crossbow tank. Pops in the end against Papa Dog, who gets the safety with the guiding wind. Taz still looking for his Psychops with the Black Dragon form now, still going for this fight. It's a 3v5, but Indonesia still are able to push Argentina back, but it does not change the fact that Argentina were able to find another 2 kills.
They get another 2 kills, but we talk about the wave pressure again and again. You guys at home are probably so bored of hearing about it, but the bottom side, the minions have taken 1 more turret for Indonesia. You take a look at the items here, 4 brands. Corrosion Scythe having the Demon Hunter Sword as well. These thicker, tankier members on the side of Argentina are going to be suffering from that percentage HP damage from the Demon Hunter Sword, and it's only going to get worse from here on. That is 2 core items for 1-1.
That's really not what Argentina want.
It's the reverse.
1-1 with the Demon Hunter Sword, with the Corrosion Scythe so early on, and now I do believe he is building towards the Windtalker, which is going to be, again, that countermeasure for Brands to go up against the Phobius. When you start to have more attack speed, and when you start to be able to actually dash faster than the Demonic Force, that's when Wanwan can actually somewhat counter the Phobius. Taz is all alone, and he actually baits the entire team, baits some resources as well for Psychots. Goes over the Black Dragon form, petrifying Jotun. And just like that, that's the jungler taken out. That's also Meteoro who falls in the mid lane to Brands. Papa Dog isolated, zoned away from the rest of his team as he'll be stunned up and he will be slain up in the top side.
Look at Brands.
3-0. Brands pushing in the mid lane without a care.
He is alone. He is staring 2 members of Argentina in the face. It doesn't matter. He is so ahead right now. He has that confidence, the mechanical skill. And look at that. He's behind the turret. That is, you're not supposed to do that as a marksman, but Brands doesn't care, I guess, as Indonesia wrestles away the control in the jungle from Argentina. But look at that right now. They're just sieging the base as much as possible, and the base turret passive has popped.
I can speak based on experience that on the 1-1, if you're snowballed, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So we'll see once again. Psychots wants to do whatever he wants as well with the Black Dragon form, just penetrating into that base, zoning 4 members away from the base turret. As Brands and Hijume just sieges it down. Taz now a little blade, has the Numenon Blast cancelled out, but he flickers forward, getting the damage and the stun onto Meteoro, who's forced to flicker back out again. Taz now under the turret range, forced to back away. Shadow Kill popped in, won't be able to find enough damage to take anyone down. That's another resource, the real world manipulation by Meteoro to defend. 10 minutes in, Indonesia have cracked 1 base turret and are looking for the second in the mid lane. Arashi, it's looking grim. It's going to be Hijume who jumps back with Black Shoes. Demonic Force popped in by Papa Dog. And they do not want to stop.
They just have the superior siege right now. They're going for damage on the members of Argentina and also the base turrets, but they're going again.
Papa Dog looking for the play, but it is just going to give Brands enough weakness points to pop that crossbow of Tang. Erwin low, forced to recall, and Indonesia are looking for the end. 2-0. Psychots jumps in again with that signature Petrify on 3. Finds a double before they end the game. 2-0. Indonesia will meet up against Cambodia in the upper bracket finals.
What a performance, man. And multiple members from Indonesia, they have their signature heroes, and I think teams need to start taking notice. It is just so dangerous. We saw Taz with the Fanny in game number 1. In game number 2, we see Psychots on that Yuzong. Complete destruction, man. You cannot allow these players to get those picks.
It's just, again, Indonesia this time, right? In the first game, the Fanny was left open, Kaja as well for Dreams, but this time it was the 1-1. And obviously, that Yuzong. So they traded 2 for 2. In the end, that's the thing. If you go for the red side, you will need to ban out technically more heroes because of the threat of the first pick, right? The Joy these crazy heroes that are first pick prio favors the blue side currently, as so far we have seen the blue side find a bit more success than the red in terms of the win rate. And you can see it here as well with Joy finally now available to actually pick. It's an auto ban. You need to get it out. If you don't, we saw what happened.
We indeed saw what happened. I'm still in disbelief. I still don't think that makes any sense. But you know, who am I? What do I know? I merely comment on the games being played. But that was a very solid performance from Indonesia. And unfortunately for Argentina, they are forced to admit defeat. Even though, when it comes to the macro, they have displayed that they have some of those predictions, strategies, tactics. But Indonesia is in a different league. At least that is what it seems like from this game. It was a very valiant effort, but I think it all started from, of course, the banning phase. But after that, it's also in the lane where in the control, the pushing, right? Wave clear advantage for Indonesia just allows them to be always so far ahead when it comes to positioning. Of course, sometimes you see Jotun actually wait for an opportune moment, wait in a bush, but for the most part, right, in the majority of this game, Indonesia were the ones that were able to actually have those surprise plays, those crafty positioning decisions, like from Psychots in the side bushes. And when the fight gets going, when it's a massive fight and there's enough space, enough time for Argentina to get their damage out, they can match Indonesia. This one trade here was very favorable actually, but in the grand scheme of things, Indonesia just calmed down. They went back to figuring out, okay, what formation, what strategy works against Argentina right now, and slowly but surely, they again show that discipline, they get the objectives, and Argentina, in an effort to try and get a different result, trying to make sure that they're still in the game, they end up getting caught out in different situations, away from their base, and Indonesia punished them, and with that advantage, slowly but surely, they are able to end that game 2-0.
2-0 in this game. Even though in terms of kills, it does feel a bit closer, it was a faster game that Indonesia were able to end it at 11 minutes. It was 11 minutes. Psychots on that Yuzong, if you give it to him, you know he's going to pick up that MVP. 5-0 and 4, 748 GPM, 33,000 damage dealt. And if you take a look at the numbers, it's not too impressive, right?
Yeah.
You need to take a look at what he does in the game. He's not a paper man. He's not a person that you can read just on paper, right? You need to watch his gameplay to actually see how he cuts the wave, how he actually looks for that opening, to look for that crazy flank. Because, sure, he did it against Argentina here. He did it against Philippines yesterday.
Exactly. It's just the impact he has in that game that really is, I guess to some people, underappreciated for sure. But the player spotlight is going to be Hijime on that Lilia. Like we said, the wave pressure, you don't see it. It doesn't completely win you fights. But being there, being to the location earlier than your opponents, being there, preparing the ambush in the bushes, it all adds up. The reason why Dreams was able to have so many surprising Luminant Blasts is also off the back of Indonesia having so much pressure in the lanes and in the rest of the map as well. If you take a look at the items here, Taz was going for that tank Beradera. Absolute nuisance, man. No spell lifesteal from the Bloodless Axe, but just tanking so much damage and getting out. He has almost no deaths on that beat Beradera, and that just allows the rest of the team